Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, my holiday hunger strike. I am mad. I am real mad. And I'm so mad that I am going on a hunger strike. Now, my being mad has to do with a victory that I say I received this week. On Monday, a arbitration judge ruled that the Golden State Warriors are to pay up the $40 million that they were trying to sue Oakland in an attempt to avoid paying for Oracle Arena bond debt. Now, if I could go to my screen here, this good news, Warriors must pay $40 million in Oracle Arena debt, is a huge victory. In June of 2018, we had a ballot measure, Proposition I. And Proposition I basically was me calling out the city of San Francisco for how it played a role in wooing the Golden State Warriors over to San Francisco. Well, a part of that ballot measure stated at the end that the city of San Francisco should take a stand against any professional sports team who tries to avoid paying a public debt when they're leaving the city. 98,000 San Franciscans agreed with me and voted yes on Proposition I. This ruling by the judge validates our issue. 98,000 plus one arbitration judge ruled the Warriors must pay up. Now, they offered a silly defense, I might add. And that silly defense was they're leaving Oracle, so they shouldn't have to pay, even though the end of the debt isn't until like 2026 or somewhere around there. And so they were paying yearly sums of like $7 million, and there was approximately $40 to $50 million of debt after they claimed that they're going to open up their new arena next year in San Francisco. That's not going to happen, but that's another issue. And don't tell anybody I said that. But the fact that this ruling helped me, I am real mad because there's something else that it revealed. If I can get to my screen, this is the San Francisco Chronicle. They have an editorial board, and their editorial board decided, as it usually does, to weigh in on different ballot measures. Well, their position on Proposition I is stated here. Now, I'm not going to read all it is, but the fact of the matter is they're basically, well, let me read it. The pros of Proposition I, the Chronicle points out, highlights the potentially negative impacts associated with luring a sports team away from its own city, like the pending move by the Golden State Warriors from Oakland to San Francisco. Then it had a con. The measure is non-binding and is motivated by vague notion of not coveting a neighbor's possession. And then they say we recommend a no vote. Now, nothing on that will you hear, did you read, where the issue of the bond debt, of the public debt, was mentioned. Why would the San Francisco Chronicle keep that out when that's part of the ballot measure? They mention nothing of it. But let me go back to my screen here. Then, this week, the San Francisco editorial board has a editorial on the Warriors must pay up. The Warriors can't walk away from a bill in Oakland. That's the title. It's dated October 31st. But what's so egregious about this is the San Francisco Chronicle editorial board, who suggested a no vote when I was trying to get billionaire sports franchise owners to pay their debt before they leave the city. They're saying vote no. And then this article, which appears in the San Francisco Chronicle, is basically pointing the finger at the Warriors and saying, you, shame on you, pay your bill. Now, what kind of silliness is that? I'm saying that the $60,000 to $70,000 that I invested, and you know it wasn't my money, into Proposition I was sabotaged by the San Francisco Chronicle. And by it being sabotaged by the Chronicle, when they failed to mention relevant facts and downplayed it as a non-binding issue, if you look at read the ballot measure, hey, it was an apology. Who has ever heard of a binding apology? No, you either apologize or you didn't do anything wrong. But I'm saying you did. But the Chronicle, in its hypocrisy, blatant hypocrisy, asked voters to, suggested that they vote no against something and then turn around and scold the Warriors for doing exactly what they agreed with what they were doing. That's reprehensible. But that leads me to something else. And it leads me to why I am going to be doing a hunger strike. Now, I'm planning on the holiday hunger strike to begin November 21st, the day before Thanksgiving. And I'm planning on being at City Hall across the street, probably in Civic Center. And that's where I'm going to start my hunger strike to bring attention to something else on the same issue. Now, of course, I have to get some legal advice. I did get some medical advice from my doctor, and will be following his instructions. But let me go back to my screen here, folks, and pull up something else. I hope I don't lose everything. I, for quite some time, have been trying to get City Hall's attention on something. This is the Board of Supervisors regular meeting. I'm going to play 2 minutes of the public comment where I will be the speaker. And you will hear what I'm planning on doing. Notice the 6/19/2018 date there. Let's listen to what I have to say for 2 minutes, if you can bear with me. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Alan Jones. For quite some time, I have accused the San Francisco City Hall of being racist against its black communities. I also, since this last election, have evidence that San Francisco is more racist despite the fact of the results of this last election. With that said, I will be bringing forth 10 egregious stories of where San Francisco city leaders have conducted racist acts against members of the black community. One such act is so egregious that once the attention of the NBA commissioner gets a hold of it, the Golden State Warriors will not be able to play one game in San Francisco until this egregious act is taken care of, which is ongoing. Next week, I will begin my 10 stories, 2 minutes each, understanding that there will be a break. But the first one, which is number 10 on the list, is about 10 girls up at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. Now, that's where I started. And since then, I probably have been up to City Hall and the Board of Supervisors chambers maybe 13 weeks total. And I've been 2 minutes at each, because that's the time that you're given to speak, to address the board. I have told them act after act after act of where the city has been racist against members of the black community. Now, let's just do some math. I have told basically 10 stories. There are 11 supervisors. That means out of 110 chances, I've received not one call of, Mr. Jones, this is concerning. Could you give us some more information on this such egregious act, and we'll follow up? Not one. In other words, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors ignored me. Now, you should know that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors conducted a hearing, I think it was September 19th, where they listened an hour and a half of testimony by members of SEIU 1021, a local union, about racism against black city employees. I sat in that room for an hour and a half and listened to story after story after story of racism, marginalization, discrimination against blacks in San Francisco. And it was all so overwhelming. What did they do? They said, well, we're going to just have another meeting because there's too much information here. Well, that's fine and dandy, but you're basically putting off these people from getting relief from their situations and concerns. And keep in mind, they had been trying to get the attention of the Board of Supervisors since 2012. And they just now, 2018, got one hearing. Now, I don't want to just, well, I guess I will. If this was a gay issue or an LGBTQ issue, I'm saying that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors would have flipped over backwards to try and rectify the problem, as they normally do for the LGBTQ community. But no, this is just black folks. And so, since the San Francisco Board of Supervisors have no intention on taking any of my acts of racism that I bring before the board with any amount of seriousness, and there is something that they can do, they just never called me to ask. So I have decided, well, I'm going to bring it to the people. Now, the San Francisco Chronicle and the San Francisco Examiner are not going to want to hear what I have to say. I know, because I've told them these egregious acts, and don't get me wrong, they're not treating me differently. There's a lot of black people who brought them some egregious acts of racism, and they're uninterested in the story for whatever reason. Yes, the San Francisco Chronicle and the Examiner from time to time will publish a lawsuit claiming racism. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about egregious acts of racism that could be nipped in the bud before legal proceedings if the city of San Francisco cared enough about black people. But since they don't, I have to do what I'm going to do. And by me bringing this holiday hunger strike, keep in mind, I love turkey, but I'm doing it a day before Thanksgiving. I also know, not that I'm going to live that long, that December 17th, the Board of Supervisors go on their holiday break. I definitely encourage them to take a holiday and come back in January. Now, if they do take a break in December 17th and don't come back till the first week of January, I'll probably be dead or lose a kidney by then on this hunger strike. But the fact of the matter is you think that I'm going to stop just because I know they're not around? Because it's not for them. It's for the people of San Francisco. And if the people of San Francisco hear these egregious acts, and all they have to do, if the media has any heart, when they see me 2 weeks into my hunger strike, looking worse than I do right now, all they have to do is just, well, give us one story. Well, you think I'm going to give them the lightest story? No, I'm going to give them such an ugly story of San Francisco sanctioned racism against black people that it's going to cause problems. There are documentations. It's a legal matter, so it's not like I can make up something. There's police reports, court documents, names. I will be giving the names and stuff like that. It will all be out there. But I'm saying that San Francisco City Hall has ignored the black community for too long. And when they do throw the black community a bone, I've heard members of this current board, I've heard them on the steps of San Francisco say San Francisco is racist against blacks. I've heard that. But when they get into chambers, there is actions that they can be taken, and they refuse. Why? Because they have to stand up and just really tell it like it is. And I don't think you'll get 11 people to agree. And though you might only need 6 or 7, the point of the matter is they're too scared. They don't want to accuse San Francisco of being racist. Why? Where do you think they get their votes? And so you can't call the people who you're asking to vote for you racist. So they seem like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, I'm saying that these members of the Board of Supervisors have their pet projects of who and when they want to rise up and show they have backbone. I'm telling you, people, you should go to some of those meetings. I was at their last meeting, and I'm telling you, people, this one supervisor, in tears, got up, stood up, and wanted a resolution against gun violence. Well, I'm not in support of, nuts running around with guns. But the point of the matter is a lot of the ugly stuff that people go over the edge with is because a lot of times when they're trying to get their point across, even if it's a kooky point, people don't want to listen. Now, I myself am not bringing forth some kooky point, but this board, stiff-necked as it is, does not want to listen to what I have to say, and so I'm not going to shoot up the place, God forbid. I have decided that a hunger strike is the best way to address my issues. Now, I have to say that I am aware that me going on a hunger strike and then it being broadcast throughout the city, there's going to be some white folks who get all defensive. What do you mean this is a racist city? And I can imagine they'll be throwing tomatoes at me. I get it. I understand how the game goes. But, hey, this just the way things have to go. I have to suffer if I want to get my point across. This is not news. Through the history of time, this is how people have been able to get their point across. They have to suffer. No big deal. I'm not crying, complaining. This is the way it's done. I get it. And so I'm going to be doing this hunger strike, and I believe in San Francisco. Don't get me wrong. Just because more people voted against my ballot measure than supported it, no. I believe that if they had known what they were voting for or against, they would have done the right thing. But not only the Chronicle, but there was others sabotaged my ballot measure, and hey, lesson learned. And so I will be making this situation, and I do not believe that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors is going to ever call me. So it's going to get interesting. But you can call the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and bring pressure on them. And I suggest that you do just that. And I'll let you in on something. The Angelic Troublemakers program is uploaded to YouTube. And this particular program will be uploaded to YouTube, and it will have a list of the times that I went before the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, 2 minutes apiece, to tell of various acts of racism. And they're not just what happened yesterday. They do go back 30 years, you know. But the fact of the matter is they are acts that are still current. And if we are going to really get turned around, the one way that I know works for sure is, first of all, you got to admit that you have a problem. And the San Francisco Board of Supervisors will never admit they have a problem unless we, the people, point them to the fact that, yeah, this isn't right. This is not how we should treat people. And I'm going to be telling all of San Francisco of some things that I know San Franciscans will not tolerate and do not know of. I know that. Why? Because it has been kept secret by high-ups in the media and City Hall. There are thousands, and I didn't say hundreds, I said thousands of lawsuits that are settled, racist lawsuits that are settled by the city and county of San Francisco, where egregious acts went to court and you never heard about the outcome. But the fact is, these acts continue to go on, and all the Board of Supervisors do is they take advice from the city attorney. City attorney says, you need to settle this. And then they just vote, we'll settle it, we'll pay them. One person, I think, got $25 million. Now that's something. How in the world are you going to get $25 million in a race and a sexual harassment type lawsuit? But these are the things that we don't find out about until somebody digs deep. Well, I myself, I have dug deep, and I see some of the issues that make San Francisco blacks so feel defeated, if you will. But I'm saying that I am expecting a victory through this hunger strike. I'm not expecting to come out as healthy as I am now. I know I'm going to suffer. My doctor told me what the consequences are. He says that, you know, just having, I will be drinking water. But the fact is I told him I'm not no nutrition at all. He has recommended nutrition, but I said no. But the fact of the matter is I know that this is going to cost me health-wise. And I just have to say, okay, that's just part of life. And I know what I'm fighting for. And it's respect. Not only respect for Alan. No. I don't like to be played the fool. But the fact of the matter is I see the black community of San Francisco being played a fool, not necessarily by San Franciscans, but by San Francisco leadership. And that is something that I'm willing to suffer physically for, to say enough's enough. And I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm saying this is war. there will be casualties. So until next time, God bless.